Hello everyone, my name is Arif and today we are looking at a very ancient capture card, the Roxio GameCAP HD Pro. Ta-da! And the reason why I say it's ancient is because it was released in 2012, back during the days of Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2. It is a 7th generation capture card, and thus it focuses more on capturing or recording the gameplay of the 7th generation consoles, which is the PS3, the Xbox 360, and also the Wii. The Roxio is the successor to the old Roxio GameCAP, which is, you can see right here, which I actually borrowed from a friend, and he never asked for it back. So yeah, here you go, the Roxio GameCAP, which is also a 7th generation capture card, but it was a very subpar since you can't really record HDMI, and the only maximum capacity it could take was 480p. Putting that aside, poof, gone hilang. So let's check on what the Roxio can do. First of all, the Roxio GameCAP HD Pro has two HDMI in and out ports for in and out, obviously, and also component in and out, which is what I was trying to say. Back in the 7th generation, the only way you could record some consoles is if you used a component cables. So for example, the PS3 and the Wii, they rely solely on using the component cables to record, which leaves the HDMI port to just the Xbox. But the quality should be the same as long as you know what to do. And there's also finally the USB port, which connects the Roxio to the computer, which is the way it records. Let's move on to the software side of things. Let's continue with the actual reviewing. The first thing we're going to talk about is quality. I mean, a capture card review won't be a capture card review without the quality. There are two main resolutions, 1080p 30 fps and also 720p and 60 fps. Now, whether you should be using one or the other really depends on what game you're playing, since this is a console capture card, a 7th generation console capture card, mind you. And since we're talking about consoles here, some games, even though they do look good, they are locked at just 30 frames per second, which is a pretty bad thing. In these situations, the Roxio records very well since it is capable of recording every frames of information being output from the console, which in this case is 1080p and 30 frames per second. Example of games that run at 30 frames per second on consoles are Watch Dogs, The Division, and Far Cry 4. For the games that do support 60 frames per second, there is absolutely no reason to not record in 60 frames per second, as YouTube now supports this feature, and it looks a whole lot smoother with it. The downside to this is that you'll have to play and record at a maximum of only 720p, unlike the newer Elgato HD 60 and Evermedias, which could go up to 1080p while recording at 60 frames per second. The highest speed rate that one could go to is 15,000, which is a very, how should I say, low number if you're looking for video quality. At the same time, even though it has a quite low maximum bitrate compared to other capture cards, it is very demanding regardless of what you choose. Even if you have a 3 GHz quad core or more, the chances of you getting a broken gameplay if you turn up the bitrate is very high. The format that the video is recorded is in M2TS, which I don't really mind. The problem with M2TS is if you're recording something in M2TS, it doesn't really work well with third-party editing softwares like Sony Vegas, because if you use M2TS in Sony Vegas, it doesn't show up with the audio. It's not mixed together. Instead, you actually have to rely on an audio splitting program. There was an option for you to record in MP4, but until now it's a very glitchy feature, so even if you attempted to record with MP4, chances are it's going to ruin your recordings. Let's continue on the third aspect, which is live streaming.
You should never stream with the official software, since if you do end up trying, the software tends to bug out even on low settings. Usually when I do my console live streaming, I use the newer versions of OBS, which apparently works with the Roxio. Perhaps even better than the official software, although when I do, I usually put it on a fairly low bitrate.
I shall talk about VideoWave. VideoWave is the editing software that they actually give to you in the given disk. VideoWave is a very mediocre video editor. It doesn't really allow you to edit your render settings other than the given presets, which is a very bad thing if you actually have a focus on quality. People who are serious about their editing should just stick with Sony Vegas or Adobe Premiere. Then there's user stability. Even though the maximum recording quality is low compared to other capture cards, it seems that they require you to have a very powerful rig to even run this thing. And the fact that it's only supported by Windows is a big fuck you towards people with a Mac OS. Even though I don't really take Mac OS seriously, but still they're limiting the consumer's option to just being Windows users. The only support option, the reliable support option you could get, is from the users themselves, which is why if you ever looked up into the Roxio official Roxio GameCAP HD Pro forums, you might end up seeing my name somewhere around there. If you ever lost your CD, apparently they don't have any official download link, which means the only way to get your software back is to quote-unquote illegally download the software, which is backwards thinking, mind you, because nowadays people don't really rely on CDs anymore, and some people don't even have a CD drive on their computer. And you know, that's a bad consumer decision, even though DRM's a very controversial topic by itself. I mean, it's very not consumer friendly. As a summary, the Roxio can hold up depending on what kind of content you plan on making, and also depending on the generation of consoles you choose to record in. Because of the component in and out, it focuses more on recording 6th and 7th generation consoles, mainly the 7th generation, because of the heavy emphasis on using a component and HDMI cables. Even if you do end up choosing to take the Roxio route by buying this capture card, because it is very cheap in the market right now. I think it's like 1/3 of an Elgato, and probably even cheaper in eBay. If you do want to take this route, be ready for a lot of trial and error to make things work. At the moment, I do love the Roxio, mainly because I've had so many experiences with it, so I am used to it in a sense, so I don't mind. However, I am currently trying to get my hands on an Elgato, which works way better than the Roxio. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something from the video. I shall try to see you guys in the next video. I do apologize for not posting that much content lately. I have been focusing more on college and also with my part-time job at this one cafe that I love as assistant barista. I hope to see you guys in the next video.
And wassalamu alaikum.